Shalom and welcome. This week's Torah portion, Vaera, is the second Torah portion in the book of Exodus, and it contains the start of the real exodus from Egypt, the beginning of the infliction of the 10 plagues upon Pharaoh. In fact, it covers the first 7 plagues. But it begins a little bit before the 7 plagues. It begins with, first thing, a genealogy again of the heads of the tribes. But then it has a little section where God tells Moses he has to go again to Pharaoh and tell Pharaoh to let the people go. And we find again Moses is reluctant. Now the Torah tells us in 3 short verses what happens. But God has got to be somewhat frustrated with Moses at this point. After all, he had this whole thing with him at the burning bush about how he was trying to decline from the honor of being God's representative to free the people. And now God reiterates what he has to do. And sure enough, Moses reiterates reluctance. So it might have happened something like this. Moses, listen to me. You must go to Pharaoh and you must tell Pharaoh to let the people go into the wilderness to worship me. But God, I can't speak well. Pharaoh's not going to listen to me. I have uncircumcised lips, whatever uncircumcised lips happens to mean. But I have the speech impediment. And all that'll happen is Pharaoh and his whole court will laugh at me. Moses, didn't we go through this some time ago at the burning bush? And you're again with the speech impediment? You seem to be speaking pretty well when you and I talk. Nonetheless, God, I can't go before Pharaoh. Moses, you're 80 years old. You've gotten this far in life, speaking pretty well in front of people. Your brother Aaron, he's 3 years older than you are. How does he speak? Well, Aaron seems to speak well in front of people. He certainly doesn't have the disadvantage that I have. Let's see how we can work this out. I have it. I will tell you what to tell Pharaoh. You, in turn, will quietly tell Aaron what to say, and Aaron can talk to Pharaoh. How's that? Well, that would certainly get around my problem speaking, wouldn't it? Yes, I think it would. And it would get this project more underway, don't you think? So here's what it will be. I've set you up as if you were a god to oppose Pharaoh. And Aaron will be your Navi. Now, in Hebrew, the word Navi is usually translated as prophet, but it can also mean spokesperson. So Aaron will be in this position of a Navi for you. So he'll do all the speaking. So now I want you to go to Pharaoh, and when he asks you for a sign, here's what you're going to do. You're going to take the rod, give it to Aaron. He'll throw it down at Pharaoh's feet. It'll turn into a snake. A snake? Don't be afraid, Moses. It'll turn into a snake. Now, Pharaoh has his magicians, especially one weird kind of guy, Bilam, son of Beor, by name, who's a soothsayer and magician, kind of been training his other people, I guess. He will tell them to duplicate that, and they will. They'll take their staffs and throw them down, and they too will turn into snakes. But my snake's going to be better, and you'll see what will happen. So Moses and Aaron go to Pharaoh. At first they can't get into the palace. It seems they arrived on Pharaoh's birthday. Guards all over the place. Admission by invitation only. They have to find their way in. Finally they get into the audience chamber and they're announced, Pharaoh, there's 2 old men here who've come to see you. So they get brought forward. Moses tells Aaron, Aaron takes the staff, throws it down, turns into a snake. Pharaoh, after being startled by the appearance of this snake, calls his magicians, they put down their staves, turns into snakes. And look at what happens. These snakes are slithering around. And Moses' snake eats up the other snakes. And then Aaron bends over, picks the snake up by the tail, and lo and behold, it turns back into a rod. Pharaoh looks at Moses and Aaron. Faker! Moses and Aaron said, it's a snake. They created snakes too. But our snake ate up their snakes. Nature. Snakes sometimes will eat other snakes. This is not a miracle. And so it goes. Moses and his Navi coming repeatedly before Pharaoh. And it goes through the plague of blood, through the plague of frogs. And Pharaoh's court magicians are able to duplicate what Moses and Aaron are doing. So there's no way of telling whether it's the God of the Hebrews or the gods of the Egyptians that are better. The same things are being done. Till it gets to the plague of lice, which maybe is somewhat problematic. But Pharaoh's magicians can't duplicate that one. Take the dust, throw the dust up in the air, and lice come out of the dust. And from that point on, it gets worse and worse for Egypt. And in the midst of it is Moses and his Navi, Aaron, kind of directing the show and representing what's going to happen between the God of the Hebrews and the God of the Egyptians, the gods of the Egyptians. Come back next week. We'll see how this all plays out. Shalom.